The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zexthor of the Kralian Empire rose from his crystalline seat. His 6 eyes fixed upon the human delegation with barely concealed contempt. "These humans," he hissed, his translator rendering his words into perfect standard. "They claim to be worthy of council membership, yet they bring their young to sacred proceedings. Look at that fragile creature." All eyes turned to young Anna, barely 12 Earth years old, who sat quietly beside her father, Ambassador Fernando Martinez. She wore a simple blue dress and clutched a data pad, her brown eyes wide as she observed the alien assembly. "The child is here to learn," Fernando said calmly, though his jaw tightened. "Is that not the purpose of civilization? To educate the next generation?" Zexthor's mandibles clicked, and what the humans had learned was Kralian laughter. "Educate? That weak thing would not survive a single rotation on any proper warrior world. Humans coddle their offspring, keep them soft. This is why you will never be true equals among the stars." The other delegates shifted uncomfortably. The Kralians were known for their brutal culture, where young were cast into survival trials before they could barely walk. Many species found their customs distasteful, but none could deny the Kralians produced formidable warriors. Anna's small hand touched her father's arm. "Papa," she whispered. "May I speak?" Fernando hesitated, then nodded slowly. He'd learned long ago never to underestimate his daughter. Anna stood, her small frame barely reaching the podium. "Ambassador Zexthor," she said, her voice clear despite her youth. "You believe human children are weak because we don't fight for survival from birth?" "I do not believe it, human child. I know it is fact," Zexthor responded, his tone dripping with disdain. "Then perhaps," Anna said, tapping her datapad, "you're unfamiliar with Earth's animal kingdom. May I present Exhibit A, the honey badger?" The chamber's holographic display shimmered to life, showing a stocky, fearless creature with distinctive black and white markings. "This animal," Anna continued, "weighs approximately 15 kilograms. It regularly fights lions, hyenas, and even attacks beehives, being stung thousands of times just to eat the larvae inside. It has been documented taking on Cape buffalo and eating venomous snakes for breakfast. Literally." A few delegates leaned forward with interest. "The honey badger doesn't care about size, strength, or danger," Anna explained. "It doesn't back down. It doesn't quit. And do you know what humans learned from observing it?" Zexthor remained silent, his antenna twitching with irritation. "We learned that survival isn't about being the biggest or the strongest," Anna said. "It's about being too stubborn to give up. My species didn't reach the stars because we were the fastest or had the sharpest claws. We got here because when the universe said impossible, we said, 'Watch me.'" Fernando watched his daughter with pride swelling in his chest. "Human children might seem weak to you," Anna continued, her voice gaining strength. "We don't have armored carapaces or razor-sharp limbs. We can't breathe methane or see in complete darkness, but we have something better. We have curiosity, determination, and the collective knowledge of every human who came before us." She tapped her datapad again. Images of human achievements filled the display. The first moon landing, the Mars colonies, the cure for cancer, the development of FTL travel. Every single one of these achievements, Anna said, was built on the work of weak human children who grew up asking questions, making mistakes, and refusing to accept that something couldn't be done. The Kralian ambassador's scales flushed a darker shade of purple, a sign of agitation. "You call us weak because we protect our young, because we teach instead of torment, because we build each other up instead of tearing each other down." Anna's eyes blazed with a fire that made several delegates lean back. "That's not weakness, Ambassador. That's called civilization." She pulled up a final image, a honey badger facing down a pride of lions, utterly fearless despite being outnumbered and outsized. "My father brought me here to learn," Anna said. "But perhaps the lesson today is for you. Humans are like honey badgers, Ambassador Zexthor. We don't have to be the strongest or the toughest. We just have to be too stubborn to know when we're beaten, and we teach our children that from the moment they're born." She looked directly at the Kralian, her small chin raised defiantly. "So yes, I'm young. Yes, I'm small. But I'm human, and that means I'm standing on the shoulders of billions of stubborn, creative, impossible people who refuse to give up. I dare you to call that weak again." The chamber erupted. Some delegates clicked their approval. Others thrummed their agreement. Even the stoic Valkyrian representative showed the slightest hint of what might have been a smile. Ambassador Zexthor stared at the human child for a long moment. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence and his scales gradually returned to their normal coloration. Perhaps, he said finally, his voice carefully neutral, I was premature in my assessment. Fernando placed a gentle hand on Anna's shoulder as she returned to her seat. She'd done what diplomats had failed to do for months. She'd earned the Kralians' respect. As the council proceedings continued, the story of the honey badger and the human child spread through the galactic networks. It became a reminder to all species that humanity's strength lay not in fangs or claws, but in their unbreakable spirit. And whenever aliens wondered why humans were such formidable allies and terrifying enemies, they remembered humans were the species that looked at a honey badger and said, "Yes, that's us." They didn't care what was impossible. They just kept going.